Now, I know a lot of you were expecting Tiffany and Krista on today's webinar. They were actually hard at work putting together this presentation, and they were working so closely together that they were nice enough to each share strep throat with one another. So neither are in at work today, so instead of getting the A team, you are getting, in this case, not the B team, but the C team. I'm the CEO of Haley Marketing Group, and also joining us today is Victoria Kenward, who is our COO and the person who was primarily responsible for driving all of the changes with the job board. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at some of the new features. We're going to take a look at a lot of the new settings and get you hopefully fairly comfortable with all of the changes that we've made, and hopefully really excited about what these changes are going to do for your business. At any point during the webinar, if you have a question, this is a webinar so you can't just get on the line and talk, but you can certainly use the question box to submit your questions to us, and we'll do our best to address them as we go through the presentation. If there's anything that comes up after the presentation, the best thing to do is send your questions in to our support desk, support@haleymarketing.com, and I'll have the email address again for you at the end of the presentation. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on with the job board. And we made huge changes to the job board, as probably everybody has seen. And the reasons we made these changes were to deal with really what is happening in the job seekers world. Technology is radically changing the way people look for work. The number one place people go when they're searching for a new job right now is to Google. And they're going to run a search for what they're looking for. So we had to make sure that job seekers can find your jobs. And that's one of the changes we made. In fact, we're going to go through a list of all of them, is to make sure that all of your jobs are optimized for search engines. The second thing we've learned, and this is from talking to the people at Indeed, is a huge percentage of job seekers are now looking for work from a mobile device. Indeed told us that 30% of all the people who search for jobs on Indeed are now doing so from a mobile device. We find that across all of our clients' websites where we monitor Google Analytics, that the approximately 10% of everybody is using a mobile device, and that amount has actually tripled in the past year. So we just think that the two big changes that you're going to see is to the job board are the fact that it has a mobile optimized interface and has full SEO for each job. But what are the other changes we made? Well, number one, you've probably seen it already, a brand new look. We completely redesigned the interface. And the reason that was done is simply because we wanted to have something that would be responsive. And what responsive means is that it will automatically adjust the look of your job board depending on how someone's viewing it. So it'll look different if they're on a computer screen versus being on a mobile device. The interface is optimized for mobile. You can actually, we'll see when we get to the settings, you have lots of choices about the way your job board looks on a desktop computer versus a mobile device. We now offer proximity-based searching, so people can look for jobs within a geographic radius of a specific zip code. We now have the full search engine optimization for every individual job, and I'll show you some of that in a little bit. We now have two different versions of the standard application. In the past, we allowed people to submit their contact information, a cover letter, and a resume. That's our short form application that still exists. We now have a longer form one built in that also allows them to put in their education and work history. And we have dozens of new settings to give you more control over how your job board looks and acts. So you have more control over customizing the experience for your candidates and your recruiters. Now we're going to go on and actually take a look at the job board from the perspective of both the job seeker, and then we're going to go into the internal settings so you can see all the things you can control. But before we get started, everyone should have received via email a copy of our new training guide. And mostly today what I'm doing is I'm walking through the information in that training guide. If you haven't already downloaded it, you can go to myhaley, myhaley.haleymarketing.com. You can click on the frequently asked questions and training videos. Then you log into Help Me Haley, and you can use your admin login. And then lastly, you can just click to download the guide, and the arrow on the screen here shows you Job Board Version 3 Training Guide. It's the top thing once you've logged into the knowledge base. And you can just click that, grab the PDF, share it with your team, and you will have detailed instructions on all the things that we've changed in your job board. Okay, on to the tour. Now, we've had some people submit questions already about being muted, and because of the webinar format, everyone is muted. GoToWebinar forces that so that attendees are muted. If questions pop up, the best thing you can do is just type them into the question box, and we will then get them answered for you. And if there's anything beyond the scope of what we're covering during our approximately 30 minutes together, then we will have someone get back in touch with you at the end of the webinar. Okay. So let's go on to the tour. Now you're going to see some funny things on my screen because we're in PowerPoint right now. I've got to get out of PowerPoint. I'm going to switch over to Help Me Haley, and actually I'm going to, before I do that, I'm going to jump over to Haley Marketing Group's website so you can see the job board interface. Now you'll note that the job board itself pretty much looks the same like the old one did on every website. The branding around the job board will match your company's website, and then if I grab my highlighter, the job board itself is this area that I'm highlighting, which we bring up on a page on your website. What people will see inside this first screen now will depend on what you want them to see. There's a lot more control, and again, we'll get to the settings in a minute. So for Haley Marketing Group, we've set this up so people can search by keyword or location, and that's the default for everybody. We have advanced search options, but they're closed when people first come to the site. The reason for that is we've essentially want the user experience to be the same on your website as it is if they were going to Indeed or Simply Hired, and the way everybody does it is you first search by keyword and location. Now, on Indeed and Simply Hired, location allows you to type in anything you want. For your job board, the location is actually a drop-down based on the locations you've entered for your jobs. So it only will show locations where you have jobs. For Haley Marketing Group, you only see one location because all of our jobs are in one place. Under the Advanced Search, if I'm going to click that to open it up, now we open up additional fields in your jobs that people can search by. And again, these are customizable for your company. So if you open your own job board, you may not see the exact same ones we have. You can choose the label for the employment type that you have, for the industry, and there's that proximity search that I mentioned. So I can choose within a geographic radius going from 10 to 100 miles. And then I put in of a zip code or a postal code. And people can choose to view brief or detailed descriptions. And one of the other things I want to highlight that's a big change throughout the system is our buttons are a lot nicer now. The icons are a lot nicer and a lot more intuitive. So it used to be there was just links for brief or detailed and it wasn't clear what you were viewing. Now it's really easy to click in these buttons to choose your preferences. At the top, the search jobs and the sign up and the login, very clearly labeled, and we used to have a lot of confusion about the difference between signing up and applying for a job. We've gone to great lengths to clarify that so job seekers won't make mistakes. Now at the bottom of the page, you will see some options that not everyone will have, but you're all going to want, and that's from our social media recruiting package, which is an option on the job board that allows candidates to save their searches and allows them to get personal job search agents so they are automatically notified every time you post a job that matches their interests. And as we go through the settings, you're going to hear about a lot of other features that work exclusively with that social media recruiting package. So this is how the search function works. Now if I just click Begin Searching, I'm going to get all the jobs because I haven't selected any specific criteria. But I'm going to click that Begin Searching. And you're now going to see the job list, or the listing of all the open jobs. Like the old job board, we have a list of the jobs by title, and then for here we have a job type, we have a location, we have a post date, we have the ability also to show salary because you may want to display that or you may not want to. What's brand new is we now have the ability to filter jobs by industry, by employment type, by location, by the fields you're using to describe your jobs in your job board. Now for 2 jobs there's not a lot of need to do filtering, but if you had 20 jobs or 50 or 100 jobs, it's really nice for the candidate to be able to say, hey, I only want to see jobs that are relevant to me. So I'm a marketing person. I want to see marketing. I'll check that. I'll update the results. And now I only see jobs that match my criteria. Again, I can look at the brief or the detailed view. And I just switch to the detailed. I can sort these jobs by title, location, or post date. I want to find the most current jobs or a specific location. Now it's easy for the candidate to rearrange the job information to find the jobs they want to apply to. Once they see a job they want, just like in the past, they can click on the title of the job. We then bring up the detailed job listing, and there's some new things here as well. Now, in the past, we had the ability to have social sharing, and we still have that with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, email, Google+, or the Share This capability to go to other social media. And you can see Share This popping up on the screen. Now, these options are all available with that social media recruiting package that I mentioned. We have multiple ways that people can apply. We have our built-in application form, and as I mentioned, there's two versions, the short and the long. And we have the ability to set up your account so people can apply with Indeed and apply with LinkedIn. Now, there is a small charge to do the setup for these. They're $60 each or $60 for both if we can do both at once. It allows people to do a one-click apply where I'm going to click an example. If I click Apply with LinkedIn, it pops up a little box where I can access my LinkedIn profile by signing into LinkedIn. It will grab my profile to LinkedIn and it will send it to the owner of this job as an application. Now I'm just going to say no thanks and close it back down. So these buttons are really nice, and I will tell you that your recruiters will love getting LinkedIn profiles. It's a very nice way to get that quick job application to find out if you are interested in the specific candidate. And in terms of searching, Vicki is reminding me of one thing that I forgot to mention. When somebody does a search, it used to be if they wanted to go back to the search results, they had to start from scratch. Now they can actually go back to their results instead of having to start over. So if somebody's doing a search with lots of different criteria, you've now made it more convenient for the candidate. Now, one of the big new features that some of you will love and some of you won't want to use at all, but it's optional, is the ability to have recruiter profiles associated with each job. So we're hiring a copywriter. Our writers at Haley Marketing Group report to me. So I am the recruiter. Too bad for them. But you see now a little bio on me. Hi, I'm the CEO of Haley Marketing, and besides being the guy who leads our sales and marketing efforts, my role is to make sure we have fantastic people on our team so we can provide fantastic service to our staffing and recruiting clients throughout the world. Just a little quick intro, help me start to build relationships with the people who are applying to our jobs. And as I said, you can have these associated with your jobs. If you don't want them, it's a one-click setting to turn them off. Just like we had in the past, let me not go too far down. We have a summary of the job details, the title, the location, the employment type, the industry, the pay rate, and the post date. We have the ability to have a job description, job requirements, and the new area is a separate section for additional information. You'll see when we go behind the scenes, you have really great control now over the content of all three of these boxes. And this third one in particular is interesting because we suggest using it for more detailed orientation information about the job or about the company or even about your firm. It can be text like we have here. It can be a video. It can be pictures. You can use rich media in this additional information. Now when we post the jobs to other places like sending them to Facebook or Twitter or Indeed or Simply Hired, the additional information field doesn't get shared, but it allows on your website to have a more detailed presentation of the job for the candidates if you choose. So if I'm going to use the online application, I'll kind of take you to the last step in the process that the candidate sees. Then the candidate can now apply for this job, very simple form. They enter their name, they create a password so they can log back in and reuse their information. There's some other more changes coming to the job board so candidates will be able to see things they've applied to in the past. They put in their phone number. If they want to put a cover letter in, they may. They can attach their resume, and they can let us know what kinds of jobs they're interested in. And we use this information when we're sending out emails to these people to send them relevant job information. Now this is our short form application. If I had the long form turned on, you'd also see education, and work history fields on this form. So that is the new interface for the candidate. I can't easily show you the mobile version, but what I would suggest you do is if you look at the URL, it is jobs.haleymarketing.com is our website. You can have your URL branded to your company, and if you have not yet had that done, if your job board is not jobs.yourcompanyurl.com, you should talk to our team about getting it branded because you want the jobs to be on your website. And one of the other things, I'm going to go back to the job listing for a second. Let me go back and run that search again. I just want to show you the job itself. You'll see that the full URL of the individual job is keyed by the job title, copywriter jobs, and then the location in Williamsville, New York. Google loves specific job titles and specific geographies. So every single job has its own URL. You can use these URLs in email marketing or when you're doing social media to promote specific job openings, but the big thing about them is they're optimized for the search engines. So when you are writing your job descriptions, I didn't give you a good example here because I use kind of a generic copywriter, but you may want to use keywords in your job titles so that when the URLs are optimized for the search engines, those keywords are part of the URLs, which will help your website rank higher with Google, which will bring more candidates to your jobs. One of our clients down in Florida, he's already been doing this even before he got the new job board, and he does it because he recruits physicians. And rather than just saying, hey, I need a doctor, or in his case, the title they most often need is hospitalist, rather than saying I just need a hospitalist, he'll write about the same job different ways with different ways to describe that hospitalist position. And he's found that of all the things he does to recruit doctors, his job board is his highest return on investment by a margin of 2 to 1. So again, use job titles that have keywords in them and you will get even better response from your jobs on your website. Okay, if there are any questions, this would be a great time to submit them, and if not, we're going to now switch gears and we're going to go look at the internals of the new job board. Okay, so where you see now on screen is the entry point for Help Me Haley. If you go to helpmehaley.haleymarketing.com, you are at this page. Normally it will ask you to log into your account. You also have the ability to access our help support desk right from here. And again, if there are questions at the end of this and you didn't have them answered during our webinar, go ahead and click on the Submit a Support Ticket and enter your question. Or even better, first go to that training videos, click right there, log in, and you can download the training guide, which will answer just about every question you could have about how the job board works. Now what I'm going to do is show you how we actually update the job board. And most of you are going to be very familiar with this. The basics of updating the job board have not changed. And Vicky's correcting me. I said something wrong. I said Help Me Haley is where you want to go. It's actually myhaley.haleymarketing.com. Sorry, I'm thinking Help Me because I'm reading it on screen. But the URL, as you can see up here in the corner, is myhaley.haleymarketing.com to access all of this. All right, let's go on to now taking a look at job boards. So when you first come to the job boards page, we go to the dashboard screen. And you're going to see that there's some new information that you didn't previously have about the data that's in your job board. It will show you the number of active jobs you have on your website, number of jobs that are expired, people who have registered with your job board. So for Haley Marketing Group, we've had over 1,000 people register at our website, the number of job applications you've received to the jobs on your site, and the number of people who have opted in to receive job alerts from you. Now, if you're not using the social media recruiting package, nobody can get these job alerts. But as long as you're using the SMRP, that social media recruiting package, candidates can opt in to get updates. And you can see, even for a small company like Haley Marketing Group, we've had a lot of people who want to be notified when we have new job openings. And we find that's true with most of our clients. They have a significant number of candidates who want those job alerts. Then the next thing you see on the screen are some important links. And those links are to URLs and other data that your job board can pass to other sites. So the job board itself, this will tell you the URL of your job board, and ours is at jobs.haleymarketing.com. If yours doesn't say jobs.yourcompanydomain.com, contact us. You'll want to work with us to have us set up a branded URL for your company. If you're using the social media recruiting package, you'll see two additional URLs here. One is an RSS job feed. Now, what does that mean? With the social media recruiting package, we take all of the jobs and we put them into a feed that we can send out to other sites. Now, if you just went and tried to click on this link, it would open up a page that makes no sense to you. An RSS feed is meant to be read by an RSS reader. You can use this feed when you're using some social sharing tool to share your jobs with things like Facebook and Twitter. And there may be other places even within your own website we want to have RSS feeds. The other thing we can do is, in addition to this one RSS feed, and I'm not going to cover this today, but there's a way to do advanced feeds of individual categories of jobs or just your featured jobs. So you can very creatively promote specific types of jobs within your website, on Facebook, on Twitter, but being able to use your jobs from your job board in multiple ways. The XML feed is used to feed your jobs to job aggregators, places like Indeed and places like Simply Hired. There's no charge for us to get you the XML job feed, but you do have to make a request to us to have it set up. And there are details about the RSS feeds and the XML job feeds, both in our knowledge base in the Help Me Haley. Okay, so that's the dashboard. Next, we're going to go on to managing jobs. And you're going to see a huge change in the interface from what you used to see when you went to manage jobs in the past. What we've done is we've made it much more graphical, much more intuitive, and we've eliminated your need to know how to do any HTML programming to create a really good-looking job post. Now, on Haley Marketing Group's website, it's pretty easy. We've got 2 active jobs, so you can see them in the center of the screen. I can edit these jobs, and you'll see the little edit flag come up just when my mouse comes over the title. I can go in and edit these jobs. If you've got a lot of jobs, it may be more challenging to find a job you want to edit. So now you can do a search by keywords such as the job number, the title, specific skills to find the job that you want to edit. Or maybe you want to just sort the jobs and put them in order. So if you're using job numbers, in our system we are not using job numbers, but it would appear right before the job title. You can sort them by the title, by the job number, by the location, or by the post date. So now you can find jobs that you want to edit more easily than you could in the past. Just like the job, from the candidate's perspective, we can view details, turn it on or turn it off. And then also we can now choose different kind of jobs to view. So the ones with a star, and both of our jobs are featured jobs. If I just want to find my featured jobs, I could check this box, turn off the active box, and then click to update my results. Now, because we only have 2 jobs, I'm going to get the exact same results. But you can see in our database there are other kinds of jobs. There are jobs you sponsor. If you are sponsoring jobs on Indeed and paying to have pay-per-click advertising on your jobs, you may want to be able to manage just those sponsored jobs, and you can find them by checking this box. The active jobs are the next one. Maybe there's expired jobs, jobs that have passed their expiration date. They're no longer active, so you want to go and find them again. Or in our case, we have a lot of old job listings. Now, I never want to lose my old job listings because I never want to start from scratch. So I'm going to turn on my archive jobs, update my results, and now I've got a lot of job openings. Every job we have written about on our own website is now here. And now I can edit all of my old jobs and make them active again. Now, in this filter on the left, you also see the ability to filter by industry, and you can open these up and it will show you all the industries associated with your jobs. For us, we also have employment type and we have location. And again, all these filters allow you to more easily find jobs to manage. Now, in terms of updating the jobs themselves, you'll see each individual listing, and then there's some icons over here on the right-hand side. If I want to edit this job, that's the middle icon, the little pencil in the box. So I can edit the job that's there. If I want to preview this job, I can click this one at the top, and it will show me what this job looks like on our website, so I can make sure I'm happy with the appearance without having to go to a separate window and refresh the screen. Or maybe I like this job, but I want to use it as the basis for a new job, so I can just copy my job into a new post, change the title, and make whatever edits I want. And now I can use the old job post as the basis for a new one, so I don't have to start from scratch. So we're going to go into the editor in just a minute, but before we do, I want to show one other thing, which is our bulk actions, things we can do to the jobs as a whole. So I can check individual jobs, and then we have a series of actions we can apply. I can feature jobs, and what that does is if you're using the social media recruiting package, I told you I was going to mention this one a lot, it will make those jobs featured so that candidates are emailed information on your featured jobs. If I want to sponsor jobs on Indeed, I can choose to sponsor my jobs. And then I set a budget with Indeed as to how much I'm willing to spend on pay-per-click advertising. I can do a bulk edit. This is the one I wanted to show you. Bulk edit allows me to, again, feature them, sponsor them, archive them, or change the date posted or the expiration date. So I can take a group of jobs and redate them. Let's say I've had them out there for a while, but I want to keep those jobs active. Now I can just change the date posted to make them look more current, or I can change the expiration date to make them stay on our website longer. One thing I'll tell you, if you're using the feed to Indeed, Indeed keys your jobs based on the job ID. So you'll end up, if you want the job to be refreshed on Indeed, you have to do more than just update the date posted. You also have to update your job IDs. Then Indeed will see them as a new job. Otherwise, it will not update the post on Indeed. So the bulk edit, again, is just for ways to quickly change dates, featured jobs, sponsored jobs, and archiving jobs for multiple jobs at one time on your job board. I'm going to turn that off. Now, let's go in and edit an individual job. And as I mentioned, you can just click on the link or the title, or use the button on the right-hand side. It does the same thing, which brings you into the job details. In terms of what you're putting in the job, this is the same as the job board you were used to using. We really haven't changed the content very much, but we have changed the look. Much, much easier to use. Now, right at the top, we have buttons to indicate, do I want this job to be featured? And it's turned on green, so this job is featured. If I didn't want it featured, I just click it again and it turns off the featured. If I wanted to sponsor it, turns on green to know it's sponsored. I can turn that off. Or if I wanted to archive the job, I could archive the job so that it's saving it, but it's no longer active. Job number is the ability to enter a job number, usually to tie back to your applicant tracking system or your staffing software to match the job numbers. With our staffing software integrations, we typically will bring in the job number automatically from the staffing software. But if you're manually adding jobs, you may want to create numbers to tie back to your system. And this is what I mentioned. Indeed uses this job number to figure out whether or not your job is new. So if it's more than 30 days since you have posted a job, Indeed no longer shows it on their website. So you would need to update the job number for Indeed to see this as a new job, not just editing the post date. Then title. It is the title of the position, and as I mentioned earlier, the very good idea is to use keywords in your titles. Then you can set an employment type, and you can control whatever you want to be in your employment type. So it could be temporary, contract, could be temp to hire, could be direct hire. For Haley Marketing Group, we set these up as freelance or full-time and full-time. If you don't see something you want on the list, you just click the plus button, and it will allow you to add more categories of employment types. Industry. Just like employment type, it's your industries for your jobs. You can set these to be any industry that you want, and usually what you're representing here is categories of jobs or fields of jobs. And again, if you don't see what you want here, you can manually add it just by clicking the plus. Pay rate. You can see we have based on experience. We didn't really want to put the pay rate with each individual job. I will tell you from our experience, jobs with pay rates get a higher response than jobs without pay rates. When there's a wide range, we don't like to post it because we do a lot of things that can vary greatly based on experience. But for a lot of your temporary jobs, you do want to post the pay rates, whether it's hourly rate or whether it's an annual salary, because it makes a difference to the candidates and you will get more response when it's there. Then you can control the date you're posting the job, the date you want the job to expire, the recruiter who is associated with the job. You just choose who you want to be the owner of this job, and anybody who applies, we'll see that in a bit as one of the settings, that recruiter can directly get the applications for that job, the city and state where the job are located, and now we have zip codes that are part of every job, and we need those zip codes so that we can do that proximity-based searching. If you don't enter a zip code, people can't do a proximity-based search. And lastly, we do country. For most everybody that we work with, it's going to be United States, but we also have some Canadian clients that will want to make sure they specify Canada, because if we're posting jobs to Indeed or Simply Hired, we send the jobs to the Canadian versions of their websites, not the US versions. Next up is the job description. You may recall from the past job board, those were little teeny boxes that were barely wide enough to see what you were typing. You could stretch them a little bit, but it really wasn't that flexible to work with. Now we have not only a bigger window to see what you're typing, but we have an HTML, what you see is what you get editor. So you can set fonts, bold, italic, underline, you can do paragraph formatting, you can add bullets, you can add numbering, and if you like to actually code in HTML, you can switch it to an HTML view, and you can edit the HTML source for your job details. You can also have it integrated spell check, so if you are typing stuff in and you just want to make sure it's right, you can make sure the spelling is correct. So we have a separate window for job description and job requirements, so you can set them up separately. We recommend the job description should really sell the position, not just be a list of here's what you have to have. Save that for the requirements. Candidates, we're getting back to the point where there's more opportunity for the candidates, and we've got to sell them on working for your company and the specific experience. So put a little copy in there to turn your individual jobs into an effective sales promotion for your firm. The requirements, that one's more self-explanatory. You want to put in all the requirements for the job, and you can put in the must-haves and the like-to-haves. We list requirements and then key responsibilities, and we actually put a little more sales copy at the end about what we're offering at the end of the requirements. And the reason we do that in the requirements, we could do that in the additional information, but we're reposting to other sites. And as I mentioned, the additional information will only appear on your website. So we put a little bit more in the we offer so that we're doing some of this selling about Haley Marketing Group when it goes out to other third-party sites. And lastly, the additional information. For Haley Marketing Group, we just did some text to put in some information about our company, but you'll see there's one extra box here to insert an image. So you can put media, you can add pictures, you can do other things to make your job post more interesting on your site. And as I mentioned, let's say you're out with an iPhone visiting a client's site and you want to do a little interview with the supervisor the candidate's going to be reporting to. You could embed that video at this point of the job post. Now you won't actually upload the video to our site. You'd upload it to YouTube or you'd upload it to wherever you host videos, and then you'd embed a link to it from this additional information section, and that would allow you to have videos right in your job posts. Something very unique to our job board, but something that we're seeing more and more desire of because candidates want to see where am I going, and the more you're selling the position, the more qualified candidates are going to apply. All right, so that is the interface for creating job posts. As you can see, from a data standpoint, really it's very similar to what you already had. There's not a lot new to learn, but what's changed is just the look. It's now much easier to use. It gives you more capabilities. All right, so that's everything that we've seen in managing jobs. We're now going to go on, and I'm going to go right over to the settings. I'm not going to do the featured mailing section today. That is very specific to using the social media recruiting package to set up email notifications to candidates. If you don't have the social media recruiting package, you don't have that feature. If you do have it, we have not changed how that feature works. You can still set up your featured mailings the same way, and you can still go into the Help Me Haley frequently asked questions to see how to set up those featured mailings. Where we're going to spend the rest of our time is on the settings. And there are lots of settings that go along with your job board. What we try to do in setting up the new job board is to really look at all of the requests we've had over the years from people for customization to the job board. And rather than customizing the site for individual companies, we're now giving you more control to do the customizations you want without having to call us. So there's a double win there. Number one, Doesn't cost you anything. Now when you want changes made, because you control it. Number two, we don't have to set up custom changes because everybody on today's call didn't have custom changes. The custom changes required additional programming, and every time we update the job board, we'd have to go redo that programming again for each individual client, and they'd have to pay us again. And that's not good for anybody. So what we did is we built the vast majority of the requests we've had into settings you can control, so now you can do even more. And Vicki is reminding me that on the other areas I didn't cover, the featured mailings, we've got updates coming to that area soon, because even though you're seeing the changes to the job board today, we're already in the middle of the next round of changes to the job board. It's not going to change the interface as much as it's going to change how we store data. Some really exciting things coming. We'll save those to later, and maybe we can get Vicki to give us a sneak overview of some of the additional changes that are coming. But for today, let's focus on the settings to wrap up our time reviewing the job board. All right, so the settings you need to know. Number one, the default owner. This is the person who's going to get all the notifications of anything that happens with the job board. They'll receive job applications for any job that does not have a recruiter selected. Any other notifications about people registering for the job board, they go to the default owner. So you want the person who's primarily in charge of your job board to be the default owner. The job board URL, we saw it on the dashboard page, but it's here as well. And then we've got, again, the ability to get to the RSS job feed, the XML job feed, and if we're using a job board API, that API would be listed here. That's when we do integration with certain staffing software, particularly Bullhorn. The job board API information goes in this area, and again, the APIs are way more advanced topics than we're going to cover today, but if you have staffing software that we're not currently integrating, you're welcome to contact us about integrations. If you're looking to change staffing software, you can talk to us about the types of integrations we can do so we can make sure that the job board works. One thing you need to know about a lot of the staffing software is many of them don't allow you to put your individual jobs directly on your own website, which means that they're not optimized for search engines, and also the majority of them are not optimized for mobile job seekers. And that's part of the reason we built so many software integrations is our clients really want more control over jobs, and the only way to do that is to get the data out of the staffing software and onto your website. All right, now let's go off the general settings and onto the notifications. The notifications, so let me cover what these are. Number one, send admin setup notifications. When the settings checked, the default owner will receive an email notification every time someone registers. Now, some of our clients don't want to receive these emails, so you can just turn it off. By default, we have it turned on. The next one is application notifications. So anytime someone applies, so we've got a sign up that they're just signing up to be part of your job board, or they're submitting an application. When the application box is checked, anytime an application is submitted, not only does the recruiter get the application, the job owner also gets the application each time. The next one is should candidates receive notifications? When this is turned on, the job seeker is going to get a welcome message from the job board after registering. Well, we think that's the right thing to do so they know that they've registered and it confirms it. But if you don't want them to get those emails, you can turn it off. And lastly, the ability to customize the success message. And what's a success message? When someone applies to a job, the job board comes up with a page that's basically a thank you for applying. In fact, specifically what it says is thank you for submitting your application. That's all it says. If you fill in nothing in this box, it will say thank you for submitting your application. If you want it to say something else, just go here, type in what you want it to say, and that will be your custom success message. All right, the next one we're going to look at, one of the big ones, searching. All right, and before I go to searching, a question just came in. From an employer standpoint, will we be able to access to who we are applying to our jobs or have created an account? Basically, we want to know if we can access the list of candidates who have applied to our jobs posted. Is it possible? Today, you don't have access to that list, but that is one of those sneak preview features that I was just hinting at. We are putting in there the ability for you to access all the people who have applied so you can see who's applied and what they've applied to. And the candidates will also be able to see a history of what they've applied to. One of the other things we're working on is the ability to strongly discourage and in some cases prevent candidates from just trying to apply to everything to get a job, because we know a lot of people get frustrated with duplicate applications. So that's another thing we're addressing in the next round of changes. Now coming back to the search settings, let's go through those. First one is display all jobs on your initial job board page. Let me show you what that means. On our job board, when I went to do a new search, by default, your job board will come up to a page like this where you can search jobs. Now, if you don't have a lot of jobs, it doesn't make sense to send candidates to the search jobs page. So if I just click begin searching, it comes up to this page, which is the jobs listing. For Haley Marketing Group, this is how our job board works, is we go to this page first. In My Haley, we have the box checked for display all jobs on your initial job boards page. So we don't go to the search page. We check this box to go right to the list of jobs. My suggestion is if you have probably fewer than 20 jobs, check this box so people can go right to your list of jobs. If you have more than 20, candidates are going to want to search to find relevant jobs. So uncheck this box so they can go to the search page first. The second box, display the recruiter bios. We want to use those recruiter bios, so we have them checked. If you don't want them, just uncheck this box. Display salary and results. As I mentioned, we don't care for this. Some of our clients really like it, so if you want the job listing in that top level list of all the job positions to show the salary, you just check this and that salary will be there. The next fields really control how people can search. So should we display the ability to search by employment type? Yeah, we wanted people to be able to search by employment type, so we checked it. If you don't want candidates to search by employment type, uncheck it. Should we allow them to search by a state instead of a location? Well, for us that makes no sense because all our jobs are in the same state, so everything would say New York. So we left that unchecked because we want to search by specific local location. But if you've got hundreds of jobs in multiple states, you may want to just have people search by jobs in a state rather than picking the individual cities because there may be too many cities to select. Do we want to allow them to search by proximity? If you don't like that feature, you can turn it off. By default, it's on so they can do that zip code search. It does require every job to have a zip code or a postal code. Do we want to use the long application form? By default, we're using the short one, which we saw on our site, which has the contact information, the cover letter, and the resume. But if we want to turn on the longer one with the work experience and the education, just check the box and the long form's in use. Do we want to require a resume to be uploaded? Some of you really want every candidate to submit a resume, others don't. Check it if you want it. Do we want to hide the text resume field? Sometimes you want to force candidates to give you a PDF or a Word document so that it's nicely formatted, because when they put all that text in a box, it is just that. It's all text and it gets a little jumbled together. So some of our clients want the text because it's more convenient for candidates, or they're pulling the text into an ATS so it can be keyword searched. Other clients don't want a text resume, so now just check the box and it hides the text resume field, which we've got hidden because we don't want ugly looking text. The sign-up buttons. If you want candidates to sign up for job agents, if you have the social media recruiting package, you don't want those hidden. You want them to be displayed. But if you don't have the SMRP, well, maybe you don't want to show the sign-up button, so you can just check the box and it will hide the link to sign up. Should we use the post date as provided in the feed? And I've got to read the exact definition of that one. If you're using a third-party integration that feeds jobs into your job board, and the feed gives us a post date, we use this option to get the post date as it's provided to us. So whatever date you put it into your ATS. If it's not checked, we're going to put the date that it's added to the job board, so every job comes in at the same day with the same post date. So you can control where we get that date from. And some of our clients want to hide the post date. They don't want to show it at all because their jobs sit out there for a long time, and they don't want to show the original post date because they don't want the jobs to look stale. So if you check the box, post date doesn't display. Next up, we have the ability to control the labels for our categories. So the first category we have is the industry, and it defaults to the word industry. So if I don't want it to say industry, maybe I wanted to say something like discipline or job discipline. I can change whatever I want it to be. Industry made sense to us. We used it. You can change it to whatever you want. Pay rate. Some of our clients want it to say pay rate, that's the default. Others will want it to say salary. You can just type in whatever you want it to say where you're displaying pay rates. And then you have optional search fields. You have the ability to have 3 additional fields that people could search by if you want to let them use those fields. Now, we don't have any of our additional fields turned on, but we have a location field, a type field, and a position field. Location is geographic location, type is the type of job that we've assigned, and position is the actual name of the job category. If I wanted to turn these on to allow people to search them, I just check the box. If I don't like those labels, or if you want to use them for something else that makes more sense to you, you can make those 3 fields anything you want them to be. You have complete control over giving your candidates access to more ways to search, or in this case, like we did, not turning on the things because we didn't need to give them more ways to search. Next up is branding. Now, branding allows your web developer to implement more custom styling. Most of you are never going to touch this page. It allows you to control the CSS, the style sheets that are used to brand your job board page. And you can go to the Help Center, helpme.haleymarketing.com, for detailed information about creating custom style sheets that go with your job board. Or better yet, you can get the link and you can provide the information from that link to your web developer to see examples of how you can custom brand it beyond what we've already done. And then there's your email template for emails that go out from your job board. And likewise, you can customize the template so that you can control what those emails look like if you don't like the default style of those emails. And again, because we don't have enough time, I'm not going to go through setting up a custom email. Most of you, I think, are going to be happy with the emails that go to the candidates. But if you wanted to make a change, this is where you can make the change. If you have questions about it, go into the helpme.haleymarketing.com and you can get detailed instructions on branding. Next up, my favorite section, mobile. And I say my favorite because the mobile interface for your job board is fantastic. And I know I'm really biased because we built it, but our web team did a phenomenal job. So again, now we can control on mobile, how do we want the search to work? It doesn't have to be the same as it is on your desktop website. So maybe on the desktop, we always want to go to the page where you choose the criteria to do a search. But on the mobile, we may want to go just right to the list of jobs. So should we display all jobs as our initial job board page on mobile? We can control how it works just on mobile devices. On our mobile device, we can use the same application that we're using, same job application that we're using on our desktop, or we can choose a different version. If you leave it blank, it's going to be the same one as desktop. But right now, I have the short one on our desktop. Let's assume I had the long one on the desktop, but on a phone, I don't want somebody to have to do a long application, so I would probably switch to the short one here. I can also choose how people view the job board on an iPad or other tablet device. Should it be the exact same as the mobile version or the desktop? If we check it, it will be the same as the desktop. If we uncheck it, it will look like the mobile. For most iPads, I would recommend leaving it checked for using the desktop version, but if you've got a preference to give them a mobile interface, you just uncheck it here. Now with the mobile version of the site, we don't display all the same branding that you'd see on the desktop version. It's very limited branding, and in fact, all we really put in there is either your company name or your logo. Now the logo has to be loaded to a web server, so it could be along with your website, it could be to some other place that you have web files. If we did your website for you, you can just ask us, we can get you the URL to your logo, or we can add it with your other images. If we didn't do your website, you're going to need to ask your web developer where we can have hosted a web logo, and the size has to be a maximum of 250 pixels by 40 pixels and saved in the format of a transparent PNG, which may make no sense to you, but if you tell any web developer, they'll get it. And then they can give you the right logo so that your mobile template will now have your logo at the top. And then lastly, we have the mobile CSS, which is the style sheet for the mobile, and just like we had for the branding on the desktop side, this is something for the web developers if they want to control the interface, the style sheets that are used with the mobile version of your job board. All right, and the last things on here, which I'm not going to review today, are for the social media, which are settings for people who use the social media recruiting package. I'm not going to go through these in detail, but it's about publishing feeds to Simply Hired, Applied Healthcare, Indeed, and LinkedIn, and about how your job board will interact with those other websites, but it is only for people using the social media recruiting package. If you want your jobs on Simply Hired takes them all for free. We publish them all out when you're using that SMRP. If you want to use the Apply with LinkedIn and get the jobs on LinkedIn, we have to have that SMRP turned on as well. So a lot of the cool features that are in the job board do require that SMRP, and when you're using the social media recruiting package, it turns on all these social media settings. We would review them with you when you're setting up your social media, and once it's set up, you probably don't ever need to touch them until the social media sites or the job aggregators change their settings, in which case we'd come back to you and tell you about the updates. And lastly, if you're using our referral management system to actively promote referrals with each job, this is where you can control the settings for referral management. You will see in our account it's not even turned on, simply because we don't have the referral manager because we have such a small number of jobs. But if you're looking to track referrals along with each job, or use variable referral bonus amounts, assigning unique referral bonuses to different jobs, that's what a referral manager does, and it's something we could add to your website, and then you control all of the settings from here. And that brings us to the end. We now have really gone through all of the new settings. We've gone through the interface from the client's perspective, the candidate's perspective. I'll open it up if there are any questions, but I will recommend, I want to go back to, and I'm going to switch back to our PowerPoint. If you have not downloaded the training guide, there are detailed explanations for every setting we just looked at in the training guide. Make sure you have a copy of it. And if there's something that you can't get answered that we didn't cover today, please take your questions and send them to support@haleymarketing.com, or go to myhaley.haleymarketing.com, and you can use the support ticket there to enter your support requests. And our triage team, once they're back from being sick today, will be more than happy to get back to you as quickly as possible with answers to your questions. Now, if there are any questions, I'll stay on the line. Right now, I haven't had anything else come in. So for everybody on today's call, thank you for taking time out of your day. Really appreciate it. Hope you like this upgrade. And I think, as everybody knows, this is not something that we're charging you anything extra for. This is part of our commitment to giving you products that take advantage of the latest and greatest technologies for recruiting and making it part of how you do your recruiting online and how your website stays in the forefront of what's going on in the staffing industry. And we'll have even more coming up in the next couple of months with some of the new enhancements, even further enhancements to the job board functionality.